I think quite a few people, but
oh man,
we're gonna have to see if there's a different factor here, and maybe a reason why Seoul is bringing the carry against, the Eve. There's a whole lot that can actually play against this carry, but we jump into here, game number 2 in this best of 5. After a devastating game for Seyuson in game number 1, Falcon's Apbren will go ahead and just get started here. Fall into place 2, we can already see, right? It is gonna be a whole lot of damage coming out from Kyle Teasy, and mind you, the last time he played this Hayabusa, he was like 10-1 or something like that, something insane. So he's got the Warcry emblem, and he's going to be looking to set the pace here that MP the King couldn't do in the previous game. And yeah, going back to it, it is his villain arc right now, man.
It really is, right? I mean, we all watched the video earlier. We'll talk about that later, but you know, something that I do want to talk about maybe for the carry pick is the fact that at least with the carry pick, it's an okay matchup against the Harith. Not in a way where you actually win, because Harith is basically almost an auto-win lane as well.
Yeah.
But the carry can actually dodge away from the Synchro Fission quite easily with their skill, with their dash. So maybe that's the reason Seoul wants to go for this carry pick again. It's all about surviving in lane, and this time maybe he'll have a better time up against the Harith than the previous game when he was up against the Roger, which was very, very difficult. And I'm glad that we can talk a little bit more about the compositions here, because I think we have...
This is going to be, I feel like when you really look at this Seyuson, as we jump back into the game here for game number 2, is how can they get the pace set early on? It's funny because going back to the fact too, this is an aggressive team that has not found a first blood yet. So with this lineup, it looks like they might want to go ahead and break that record right now, but so far for Falcons, Apbren, they're spotting this one out.
Get up top, Felix gonna be able to get them damage on the flap. Teasy the deadly catch.
Got it.
Chases him down. There you go.
They got it.
For the stats, first blood. The first blood ever for Seyuson at MSC.
There we go. And
you just have to curse it.
Yeah, that works like that. So with that, they're actually gonna be able to get this turtle too. So this is what I was saying, man, with the lineup they have, if they can get the momentum going early on, that's great, but also they're spending a lot of time here. Oh,
bottom lane, that's a solo kill, Soul! That's why he picks the carry.
He picks the carry, but he goes down in the exchange.
But he just solo killed Bulletproof Marco.
Hey, that's going to affect the KDA now of Bulletproof Marco. And, you know, maybe Soul is like, hey, this is why I locked in that carry. So he gets the kill there, but at the same time, you know, Super Marco gets one himself. And you can already see here, too, holding on to that real-world manipulation over here for Ra. A lot of attention here on that bottom side for Seyuson. If they can, you know, actually at this point, I feel like they can just leave Soul to his own.
Yeah.
The only thing Soul has to watch out for is when that flicker's not available, because of the fact that Super Marco can play a little more aggressive, especially with now that he has that Zaman Force and playing around that. So really good start, I would say, for Seyuson this early on.
Let Soul solo. I agree. Felix now trying to run away. The penalty zone locks him down. Cal Teasy with the quad shadow 2 right into the shadow kill. The Petrify's still there, but Kyle has a few more quad shadows to use, and he will indeed utilize that to equalize on the board. It's 2-2.
Okay, taking a look at the items here. First items not locked in just yet. But I'm assuming, yeah, this is, we saw this, I believe it was Kyle Teasy who did this before. He got the Skypiercer first on this Hayabusa, and that's what helped him snowball quickly. So for Seyuson, if they can figure out a way to stop that from happening, you know, keep Kyle Teasy in his tracks. That's one of the big answers they have to have early game. They've already got good control of these objectives early on, but the thing is it's ultimately even across the board economy-wise, and those first item pickups will start to happen for each of the members here on par. Now for Seyuson, like I said, if they don't want to have an issue with the objective fighting, Kyle Teasy again fighting Boxy.
With all those stacks, still Primal Wrath gonna be used up by Boxy. I think he expected Falcon's Apbren to collapse even more, but now with a big resource burnt out, Boxy, no ultimate. He's still posturing up. He still wants some smoke. Ra walks him forward, goes for the terrifying penalty zone, lock him down straight into the quad shadow. Now is Boxy gonna be taken low. The hammer swings as Cal steals it away. The deadly catch just to disengage, but Super Marco continues this in the back line. The Furious time to catch Kyle Teasy with that Petrify to find a trade on the board. The Felix will be taken down as well, and Super Marco gets the double. Meanwhile, Soul up top, picking up all of the turret gold.
Hey, that's great for Soul. Again, interesting exchange there. Saurian Felix does get a kill, but then eventually goes down himself. It's a good thing he took out Kyle TZ. But this is part of the plan too. Give Soul that extra gold, but the same thing is now happening here on the bottom side. So that little advantage that they were able to get is diminished at this point. Also, with Kyle TZ taking that turtle, even it out, looks like they want to make a play.
MP, deadly catch, bursting Ogwen down. Boxy just zoning Super Marco so that no one can really help him. And it's actually a Queen's Wings rush here for Flap TZ. I think that's his second item. Very quick, Soul goes back up top. Flap TZ is actually taking a whole lot of damage here. Soul might be looking for another solo kill, but Flap TZ is still a bit too tanky here. It's a Queen's Wings first item, not even War Axe.
Yeah, not even War Axe. Just wants that sustainability. I guess it works well with the Body of Smith passive, you know, for Trizla. And then, like we mentioned earlier, he has Brave Smite. So this looks like it's going to be a tier 1 down here for FCAP as they get that first turret of the game down on their side. They traded across map, what we saw Seyuson do earlier. So now at this point, you see a transition here. And I guess we got our answer earlier too. The Bulwark is not going to go ahead and shoot the Deadliest Catch back to them, but
that's a no-no.
That's a no-no. And at this point too, for Falcon's Apbren, you know, controlling with a little bit of a lead, it's more so where do we find our pick-off potential? And that's usually on the whims of Flap right now. If he's got Flicker available, you can see the gold difference too fall into place here, of course. The biggest one, I mean, relatively even. Nothing too crazy, actually, between lane to lane here.
Boxy's taking a bit of damage now. Flap TZ again. This is why he goes Queen's Wings. He doesn't even need damage. Felix gets zoned away just by his Mod Force, forced to use the Black Dragon from Boxy, pops in. The Primal Wrath, but gets deleted. Penalty zoned by Flap. And Be the King forced to use the Deadly Catch, now chased down as the RWM comes down. Felix jumps in back again with the Purify. The Petrify, finding 3, but the Purify is right there. Now Ra gonna be caught in the Numenal Blast and the Shadow Kill. But he's still able to flicker out back to safety as Few just continues to walk them down. Not here, sir.
You're gonna walk to your base.
Yeah, getting walked down to the other side of the map as they pick up a free neutral objective.
You will not recall here. You're gonna have to walk. And actually, so MP the Game goes back up. That's turtle secured here now for Falcon's Apbren. Looks like they're gonna start on this turret too. Boxy jumps in.
Kyle, that's a quad shadow. He has one more. The intrusive thoughts definitely get into him there, but hey, he's able to make the right decision. Don't go in aggressive. They can just go for the purple buff, and they'll take it away. Now in the mid lane, still with the siege. Boxy's forced to use the Primal Wrath, and even Dead Flap just jumps in under the turret, straight into Cal TZ with the quad shadow. Boxy losing his life, the shadow kill. He was so much damage just to zone them in the back line as Super Marco pops the Zaman Force to take the tier 1 down.
They're doing so. Falcon's Apbren is doing such a good job at forcing that Primal's Wrath to be utilized or used first by Boxy, and then they follow through. Because again, when you look at the lineup, man, and the items that are falling into place for Falcon's Apbren, their power in team fighting is really showing the way they layer things on top of each other. The ultimates and even some of the skills. Super Marco, like we saw from Innocent yesterday, man, being very aggressive and upfront with this Harith pick. He's only died once in that exchange in the 1v1 against Soul earlier on, so I feel like now, as you get towards, you know, the next objective is this Lord, Seyuson has to be ready to unleash Soul. Earlier, we saw Ra take the real-world manipulation. You know, the game, the Land of Dawn basically looked like a board game at that point. But that's something they can work around with. You have Ra with the real-world manipulation. You have a Deadliest Catch. You kind of have to hope that, all right, we get Falcon's Apbren to use some of the ultimates that they have, withstand the Shadow Kill from Kyle TZ, and then possibly be able to re-engage. That's, again, going back to the reference of it's a whole lot of boxes that Seyuson has to box off here, check off here.
It's really tough now, I feel, for Seyuson, right? Because really the proactivity is all on Falcon's Apbren, and they've been able to utilize it so well. Invading the jungles constantly, even for MP and with a pick like the Bane. You don't really need that much farm, you're still good anyways. But when the Hayabusa is 2 levels ahead,
2 levels.
now down to just 1, but when he's also 1,000 gold ahead on the Assassin, it gets really tough for you. He only has a War Axe, the Endless Battle. Like LaFell said, you know, he usually goes for the Thunderbell, but because maybe in the early game he needs a little bit more damage because the team is kind of lacking damage, he's forced to go for the Endless Battle, and even then you can see the poke from Few, from Flap, onto Boxy even more with the new glowing wand, man. It's just burning him down.
And that's what I'm saying. It's just, we're going to force you to use that Primal Wrath early on so you don't have it for the fight. And they just completely cut off Seyuson. And look at this, the bulwark that FlapTZ is alone on this Terizla, able to just kind of stand there and look down the eyes of Seyuson and trying to bait them into initiating, and they don't. So the Lord is already taken freely, and big power spikes coming in. A Holy Crystal for Super Marco, a BOD for Kyle TZ. These are very big items picked up that already increase the power for Falcon Apbren when they've been pretty dominant the last 3-4 minutes or so. So they're now going to work on the tier 2 here. MP the King makes his way, but they're just shoved out again, being poked down simply by few even.
I think if it wasn't for terrifying Flap, that would have been a force by Falcon's Apbren. Maybe they would have been able to force out all of the flickers, maybe the Black Dragon form as well defensively. So good job for Ra. He was able to disengage from that skirmish that Falcon's Apbren almost pushed on them, but the fact that they were able to take the Holy Defense down in the bottom lane without the Lord, and now they have another wave coming down, they're going to be able to bait out the Holy Defense from the mid lane too. And the second wave is coming down in the mid lane, so they might be able to do what they did in game number 1, Black Dragon form. Now by Felix, but he's gonna get gunned down from the sky, so taken out right as he drops down. Boxy pops in Primal Rat, penalty zone Flap, catches them under the real world manipulation. Soul gets a double, but Few does it as well, and it's Flap on top of it. It's Soul, the Soul member of Seyuson, up against 3, the flicker forward. Soul absolutely obliterated, this time 11 minutes for Falcon's Apbren.
It looked like it would take a little bit longer, but Falcon's Apbren